Welcome everyone to Eagles Power Hour. I am your host Patrick Frakes, and we are joined again by the founder, the creator of Eagles Power Hour, Kylor Neal. Kylor, how is your? I guess it's night over there. How's your night going so far?
Not too bad at all. Just, we're figuring out what to order on Uber Eats. So, because I'm too lazy to cook. So, we'll see what my wife decides.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well,
Good luck.
so we're here today. I know it's been a minute since the basketball season ended, but we're gonna kind of do a quick kind of recap of the season. We'll hit on the women's a little bit too, mostly the men's for now though. And um, it was a season that very fun and then a very bitter end, and it's another one like this. And so it's kind of a weird season in review to do because it was like, hey, this was a really fun season. But then you have obviously the first round exit in the Big Sky tournament, and it's been kind of brutal. So we're gonna throw it to you first, Kyler. We're just gonna go very general on the season here because I mean most of the numbers and stuff you could look at and say, oh, 21-11, that's yay or nay. But we're just gonna kind of talk about it, from a bigger fan perspective. How did it feel and stuff like that? So what to you felt like really what went poorly this year? We'll go poorly first. What went poorly for this men's basketball season?
Outside of losing at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, the big takeaways from the season is, we can look at the schedule. The schedule didn't do us any favors. Because, when they took away the NIT bed for a regular season champion, I mean, you're looking at all those losses because we had the fourth hardest schedule, out of conference schedule in the nation. I mean, that probably took away our NIT bid right there. If we scheduled more like every other Big Sky team or shoot pretty much every West Coast team outside of Gonzaga in the out of conference, we probably at least get a sniff at the NIT with how that process went down because of us dominating the Big Sky overall. But I mean, the takeaways were the unfortunate ones. We just never really stopped turning over the ball, right? That was kind of a bummer to see, just because we were really effective. We were really effective throughout the whole year, and then you just throw away points, you throw away opportunities when you're just trying to be a little too flashy. That's what I call it. They're a really fun team to watch, but at the end of the day, sometimes this is going to sound kind of messed up. They thought they were better than maybe they really were, athletically speaking. So that's like my big takeaway. It's maybe we should have got down to the basics a little more, played a little more fundamental basketball instead of just trying to, wow everyone, be a highlight reel. Because that's some of those games. I mean, you're trying to make the big plays. You're trying to get on Sports Center. That's what it felt like when I'm like, dude, just slow down, pass the ball to the open guy. You don't need to make this crazy pass down into the key where there's three other guys and you're on the run, you're on the transition. Some of that just was unnecessary. And then, the bummer was it seemed like our shooting was, of course, in the beginning of the year, it's hard to put a gauge because of how brutal that schedule was. That is not a Big Sky schedule. But then, through the middle of the season, when we were torching the Big Sky, our shooting was through the roof. Towards the end of the year, the three ball kind of went away. All right. It wasn't as effective, which that hurt, especially with our style of play. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, a really fun season. But I mean, those are the negatives that I just want to take away. The fan base was fun too,
Yeah.
but I feel like last year's the fans at least watching it on TV, because I'm watching it every week in Houston. I feel like the fan base was a little bit better last year. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we had that 17 game win streak. So maybe that was a part of it, or it wasn't 17, was it? It was close.
I think it was. I think it
It
was
was
17.
Yeah, it was up there. But I mean, overall, still solid fandom, solid attendance for what it was. I mean, it was loud. Even some Montana fans commented of how loud it was when they went and saw the final game in Cheney.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, overall, really fun season. But those are my takeaways. It's just some of those they just tried too much sometimes.
Yeah, it
Forced
was
stuff.
such a like it was kind of a highs and lows, but it was like mostly like you stay pretty high most of the year, and then you have this just you'd have one or two losses where the team just looked horrible.
Yeah,
Like the losses Eastern had, it was I mean, the Weber State one is a little different, and I'm talking mostly in conference. I mean, if you're anything like me, like I'm not paying for Pac-12 Network, so I didn't get to watch like most of those out of conference games. But like we're here, and then we have this just horrible performance in Bozeman, and it's like, whoa, what was that?
Yeah.
We look like crap, and then we kind of bounce back, and we're playing well, and then NAU, and it's like, what the heck was that? Like we looked horrible, and it's like, okay, cool, we're bouncing back, and we lose the Weber game, but it's like, okay, they were kind of lights out that day. It's okay,
Yeah, they were
like
shooting from everywhere.
it's not like we played like crap that day. I mean, the defensive effort could have been better, but they also made a ton of tough contested shots.
Yeah.
Same with the NAU game defensively, but then you get to the tournament and it's just all of a sudden we hit that down again,
Yeah.
and it's like this team it really struggled winning games that were low scoring because it was like when Eastern was off, they were off.
Yeah.
And it felt very streaky this year when it came to the shooting things. We would have these 5 minute stretches where we go 8 for 9 from the field, and then all of a sudden we're 0 for 8, and
Yeah.
then we're 7 for 10, and then we're 0 for 7, and it's like it felt very streaky. And obviously, basketball is a game of runs. That's normal,
Right.
but it felt a little more than normal, I guess, this year. And I don't
Especially
know
in
if
the first
that's
half.
for sure. And I don't know. The first half was weird. This team opened games very slow
Slow.
sometimes,
Very
which
slow.
you
12 to
know,
2. I mean, that was not uncommon to see.
yeah, it really we got out to a lot of bad starts this year, and I don't know. It just it felt like we needed a little more consistency. And it's kind
Right.
of weird because when you think about Eastern Washington, like they were here, I'll share this screen really quick. Eastern was the freaking number one team efficiency wise in field goal percentage in the
Oh yeah.
conference, and this is all the games as a whole, shooting 50% on the year. That's damn awesome.
Yeah.
But it felt like the times when things went bad, it just went so bad. Like
Right.
like Eastern didn't have I guess Eastern didn't have that Steel Venters type guy on the outside this year. That shooter that you can be, hey, we're in a slump, we need you to go knock down a shot. And that became Cedric Coward throughout the year. It was a shared role between Coward and Kyman a little bit.
Hmm.
But like those guys, if neither of them were hitting shots, we were just screwed offensively, it felt like. And we were able to get our points inside, but if those guys aren't hitting shots, then they're focusing in on the middle defensively, and they're making everything inside real tough. And it just I don't know. It felt like we were missing a piece this year, and
Yeah.
you know maybe maybe this is Eastern fans being greedy because damn, we're pretty dang good this year. And I mean, this team was built to be the team that goes to the tournament this year. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Best team all year by a mile. Like it
Yep.
wasn't even close.
Nope.
But we just didn't have the guy. There was Coward was the guy, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's like a.
You
I
didn't
don't know
have
how to
the
say.
takeover, just like the pure
Yeah,
domination takeover when you need it.
think of Dylan Jones is kind of a
Allegri.
hard example, or like I don't know, Tyler Harvey back in the day.
Right.
A shoot,
Even Allegri last year.
Allegri, St. Thomas, like
Yeah.
these guys that they can just come down one possession and just shoot a shot over everyone and make it.
Yeah.
And it's it's rare to get a guy like that, but it feels like so many teams in the Big Sky have a guy like that. You think of Montana, Anand Moody kind of became that guy for them. You
Oh yeah.
think of Northern Colorado, St. Thomas, Weber. They have what's his face, Dylan Jones. Wow, I
Yep.
can't believe I forgot Dylan Jones' name. Montana State had Ford down the stretch. They
Right.
every team has their guy that when things go tough, you can count on him to at least try to get you a good look and a good bucket. Maybe it's a contested shot, whatever, but you know, it's a high percentage look for that guy in that moment.
Right.
And it felt like sometimes in those moments we went to the wrong guy,
It
which
could be. And
you, go
maybe
ahead.
that's just because we were so much deeper than everyone else in the Big Sky. So they needed to rely on one guy. I kind of feel that we had 3 to 4 starters on our roster who would be 3 to 4 starters on every single team in the Big Sky. And then each Big Sky team probably had one guy who would probably start on our roster. And again, I'm a little biased for probably thinking that. And there's going to be some people who are listening who are like, screw you, Kylor, that's not true. But I mean, we by far had, in my opinion, the deepest and most talented overall roster. But yeah, you are lacking that one star who needs to take over the game, who's going to take quite a bit more shots because that team actually needs it. We're so balanced. Yeah, we're just going to keep playing our game and dish it out. But no one's going to be perfect in this
Mm-hmm.
in this sport, and people are going to go on a dry slump. And unfortunately, the guys we were going to when we need it was kind of a dry slump for those games where we were losing.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But yeah, I do think we didn't have that star that every other Big Sky team has, but we have way better depth, way much more talent across the board. So it's kind of just a bummer to see.
Yeah, and I mean, Coward was that guy throughout the year, but I don't know. It didn't feel like he was the one taking the shots down the stretch when we need a bucket and we're down. It
Yeah.
felt like that guy became Kyman throughout the year,
Or even
and
Casey Jones for a while.
oh yeah, and it was kind of weird because Kyman. This is not a shot at Kyman, but like when he was off, man.
Yeah.
He was taking these shots that just overall are low quality shots early in the shot clock. Taking a deep three that he can make
Oh
100%.
yeah.
We've seen him make those a million times. But I guess my thinking here is on what game was it? There was a game where we were down 2 or 3 points at the end, and Kyman took a shot from the top of the key, like 5 to 5 to 7 feet outside the 3-point line from the top of the key. Early in the shot clock, we needed one bucket, and we're taking the shot with like I don't know 8 seconds left in the game instead of working it to try to
Yeah.
get a better shot. And it was like, what are we doing, Kyman? You're 0 for 6 at this point. Like moments like that where it feels like, hey, let's call timeout,
Yeah.
run our offense, and try to get an open look inside like we've gotten all year.
Yeah. Put
You
it to
know,
Price, who's just, bigger and he has quite a bit better moves than most people on the interior.
yeah,
But yeah, that was also a big part of it. It's unfortunate that you see, especially when the games are struggling, we continue to just play the game that we've been playing all year, but sometimes you need to adapt because those threes aren't always there. And unfortunately, we took a lot of bad shots where, all right, we're down by 3. So we're going to just launch up a 3, like you just said, quick. You're not even, you're not open. You're just launching a 3 from 7 feet behind the arch and you're hoping it goes in, but it doesn't. Now all of a sudden you're down by 5. You're down by 6. And now you're playing this keep up game. And most of the season, we were able to get back into it, make it competitive. But I mean, there was times we just bit ourselves in the ass because
mm-hmm.
we're trying to play this game where, guess what? If you're down by 3, go easy, go inside. Let's just keep it close instead of, I don't know. There were some games where I was just yelling at the TV, why would you shoot? But that's across the board in all college basketball that I'm watching in the last few years. Steph Curry's kind of changed the game where it's a whole different style of basketball that you're seeing. I mean, you're even seeing it on the women's side. People are shooting 15 feet from behind the arc. You're like, why? Set yourself up, man. Make it a slightly easier. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, this is coming from a very, very spoiled Eastern Washington fan perspective when you consider what the team went 15-3 in conference. Like, this team was very good. It was very, very good. It felt like this team should have gone a lot further than they did. That's for dang sure.
100%.
And it's such a shame that we didn't get an invite to the NIT at least, man. I mean, I felt
that
like
brutal schedule hurt us. I'm not
yeah,
gonna lie.
man, it just
It's fun to watch, but yeah,
very fun to watch. But geez, man, this team was off. It was not fun to watch. I will say,
no,
it was
not at
very
all.
hard to watch. But obviously, like we're saying, it was 15-3 season. We're gonna transition to the positive side because there was a lot of positive this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, similar to last year, like there was so much fun, so much excitement, so much hype around this team that it's why it hurt so bad when we came down to the end of the season. Like a first round exit is always gonna suck, but like it it's hard to have a counter to that. It's always going to suck when you lose in the first round.
Yeah.
But we also won 20 games this year, which is something that, hey, I'm an Idaho student. A lot of people here, they would kill for a 15 win season. Like,
Yeah.
they would kill for being 500 in the Big Sky. Like, we're very privileged to have such a good team here
Yeah.
and to be able to expect this type of stuff. So I'm gonna throw this to you. What was kind of the overarching thing that just went well for you when it came to this men's team this year?
I mean, they were just so damn good. I mean, across the board. I mean, of course, we're nitpicking on a few of the negative aspects, but overall, like you just said, they had 20 wins. They went 15-3. If we played any other Big Sky conference schedule for the out of conference, we're at 25 wins this year. I really do believe that. I think we're by far the best shooting team. We had the most talent. We were the most balanced. We had great size. And when things were working, man, was it working. I mean, there was a time where if you were shooting, because there was a lot of opponents who shot particularly well. They had their best shooting, like Sac State, best shooting performance in their history of their school when they lost to us. They shot 60% from field goal and 60% from the three, and they still lost because it's hard to keep up when Eastern is moving at the right direction, when they're shooting, when they're just playing their game. This is a really tough team to keep up with, and we've got to see that throughout the whole season. Yeah, I mean, it's just a bummer how it ended, and I hate all the people online who are like, you just because you lost in the first round, that means you wouldn't have given us the best chance to win a March Madness game. You guys are stupid, for one. Just because, again, last year, same thing. And then we go and beat Washington State, who was ranked better than anyone in the Big Sky in the tournament. So, again, when you are a team like Eastern Washington, you're the most balanced by far, you still give this conference the best opportunity to hopefully get an upset in March Madness. And there's a bummer we couldn't see it, but again, this team was so much fun. And even though we just talked about the negative of not having like that superstar, that's also what made this team so fun because it didn't matter. I mean, you had four guys on the court at any given time where they could shoot from wherever. I mean, this was such a talented roster, and it was just fun to watch. I mean, Casey Jones physical now. I do think he flops a little bit. I will say that.
Oh yeah,
he
Casey
loves to
Jones
sell
ball.
it. He loves to
Casey
sell
Jones
it, but man, I mean, he's fun to watch. And then you had Coward, who is an absolute beast. Yeah, fantastic season. We're spoiled. We're so spoiled. It sucks that in these one big conferences, 99% of the season doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
give me 99% of the season because that was a really fun season. And it was just fantastic watching these guys. They earned everything that they were given. I mean, I'm trying to pinpoint where would I even rank this team in the last 10 years of Big Sky teams or
Be up
Eastern
there.
Washington teams. I mean, this team is beating most, and we had some phenomenal teams. I mean, the Tyler Harvey team. I mean, it was just Tyler Harvey. That was just a crazy difference maker when he was,
Yeah.
leading the NCAA. I mean, this team would have given any Eastern Washington team in the last 10 years a run for their money for sure.
Matchup nightmare.
Yeah,
For
the
any
matchup
team.
nightmare. They're bigger than everyone. They can shoot from anywhere. They can go on the inside. I mean, this was a nightmare team, and people like dishing out the ball too. I mean, they were not selfish. They were throwing whoever was potentially open. I wish, Magnuson maybe shot a couple more times because he actually had a pretty good percentage.
He did.
But when he missed, he just missed real bad. And it was, that's tough to look at. But overall, man, I wouldn't trade this season for watching it all season for anything. It was fantastic. These guys were phenomenal.
It was so much fun. I might have to make an edit of just Ellis Magnuson buckets because it'd probably be under 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Do you think his
100% under
his
10.
career might be under 10 minutes, and he's the
100%.
all-time leader in games played for Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
So, which is something that is pretty rare for a player like that to play so many
Especially-
games and just have
yeah.
so few points. But
yeah, he's the distributor, freshman of the year, and then he kind of takes a hiatus where he's not really playing as much coming off the bench. And then it was cool to see him, back in his senior year to being the guy running the offense. And man, there was times he just ran that offense so efficiently. I mean, there was just times I wish he, shot the ball a little bit more because, it's 2-on-1 quite a bit. But again, he ran that offense so efficiently. I mean, it was fun to watch. He had some crazy dimes. It was impressive.
Yeah, so much fun. Not local, but like a Northwest guy, because I feel like a lot of with the transfer portal era and stuff, you end up with guys from all over the place on
Yeah.
your teams, and like having a guy like that, he's a Boise kid, but having a local-ish
Yeah.
guy come up and play what he was 5 or 6 years up here. I can't even remember,
Yep.
but hell of a player. So sad that was this last game. Just
In
freaking
Boise.
yeah, in Boise makes it even worse, man. I said this on like the like reaction episode, and I was like, I hope the hell that is not Ellis Magnuson's last game, but
Yeah.
looks like it was, and he just posted on social media the other day. He's in Cabo, Mexico, having a good time.
There you
So
go.
good for him. But
Absolutely.
we're gonna talk a little bit about we're in the what went well section. This team was littered all over the all conference selections, and even the coach of the year. Shout out to David Briley being
For
co-coach of
sure.
the year. But first team all conference, you have Cedric Coward in there. He was clearly the Eastern's best player this year, in my
Yeah.
opinion. He did everything. He was, partway through the year, I think it was like him, Dylan Jones, and St. Thomas were, 3-2-1 most of the year, or whatever order you want to put that. But they were all neck and neck most of the year. Dylan Jones and St. Thomas definitely had a little bit of an edge just because they were scoring more because
Yeah.
they're
They
by
needed
far the
to.
best. Yeah, they needed to be able to win games. But, Coward did everything. He was so much fun to watch. He had some awesome, such a versatile guy, especially when he was on. That dude was damn near unstoppable. He could back you down and just shoot it right over you, and you just couldn't do anything about it. He could also rise up in a three. He could also go dunk on you as well, as we saw in that freaking Montana game lately. So
Yeah.
that game was awesome. But Coward had a hell of a year. He made some like all district team. I have no idea what those mean because I don't follow
Yeah.
basketball
Some
that close.
region. So
Yeah,
another site is doing it by regions. So yeah, he made
weird.
first team in basically region. What was it? 6?
Something like that. It was like the Northwest region, I think.
Yeah. So I
Something
mean,
like
that's
that.
Pac-12. Mountain West, WCC. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet. And when you got him, shoot, that'd be Wazoo, who won a couple tournament games, is up there. Gonzaga won a couple tournament games, is up there. Some good teams, man. A
Yeah.
lot of talent, which is really, really cool for him. Hell of a player. We'll see what the future holds with him because he does have one more year of eligibility.
Yeah.
At least one more. He might have two. But
Yeah. He's a
anyways,
junior, but yeah.
I don't even trust the freaking names that they give us anymore. Because I mean, like, look, think about football. Newsom, what's his name? Jacob Newsom and Brock Harrison were both listed as seniors last year, and they're back. So
Yeah.
I don't know what you'd have to
Me
like
neither.
go in and look at their like player bio and look how many years and how many games they played each year to figure it out. But whatever. Moving
But
on to second team.
there's even a kid from some SoCon team. He was a freshman the year after COVID, and he's going into his 6 year, no medical red shirt, no red shirt, because the year after they gave people the waiver too. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, it's a St. Mary's kid. Someone on St. Mary's, some basketball player.
I
So
have
yeah,
no
he's playing
idea,
in
dude.
his 6th full year.
Anand Moody was in his sixth full year, I believe, this year.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Sixth or seventh. It was insane.
Yeah.
I don't know how it worked, but he's married and has two kids. And I just remember, like, I was listening to one of the games in the car, and Larry just goes, "That's Anand Moody. He's married with two kids."
Yeah.
It was so funny to me.
It's wild.
Anyways, second team names, we had Casey Jones and Ethan Price. Both of them had very solid years. Casey Jones this was definitely his best year as an Eagle, and one of his best scoring years as an Eagle. He was also on the all defensive team this year,
Yeah.
which was really impressive for him because he was typically matched up with whatever the other team's best player.
Yeah.
Because I believe he was guarding Dylan Jones, he was guarding St. Thomas, and so
And he pissed off everyone.
yeah, it was
He's
really
the most
funny.
hated person in the Big Sky.
I really hope if he's back next year, which is so, I mean, I really hope all these guys come back. But if he's
Me too.
back next year, we better do Goggles Day again because
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm going and I want goggles. Anyways,
Absolutely.
Ethan Price had a very solid year this year as well. He
Hmm.
really showed the shoot and touch this year that I don't know if we saw quite as much earlier in his year and earlier in his career, similar to Coward as well. both those guys really stepped it up shooting this year.
Yeah.
Do we have any honorable mention? No, we did not have any honorable mention guys. But looking at the all defensive team, like I said, Casey Jones made that. Coach of the year or co-coach of the year, David Riley.
Right.
Hell of a season, man. What, we won the Big Sky by like 3 games.
Yep.
Let's see.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah. 3-game difference between us and the next team.
Yeah, it wasn't
down.
close.
Wasn't even close. Shoot, we beat Northern Colorado twice this year too. Beat Montana twice this year as well. So it's kind of funny that the 3 teams that we ended up losing to were like 6, 7, 8, but whatever.
Yeah. And I don't even know if you're aware of this. We do not have a losing record versus any Big Sky team in the last 10 seasons.
That's ridiculous.
Montana's the closest, and we're up 1 game now. No one else is even close.
That makes that win earlier this year even better.
Oh, yeah.
To seal it, that makes it great. That's awesome. Well, I'm rooting for splitting the series every year, at least for the rest of time, just so we don't have to deal with having more of a losing record against them. Okay. Is there any other? Luan Watts, freshman of the year.
Yeah, freshman of the year.
Almost forgot to mention that. He was awesome off the bench this year. He had a few like dumb, like what the hell was that freshman moments, but he played very
especially
well.
The back half of the season. I mean, there was games where he looked like our best player
for sure, and he was such
the offense
for sure. Big impact on the boards for
100%.
sure, which was awesome. He had a couple of pretty sweet alley-oop dunks as well.
Oh yeah,
always brought the energy. Always seemed very positive guy, which was. Sometimes it felt like they needed that. Like, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't peg this team as like a negative team or anything like that. But there's definitely times where, the team you could tell is a little bit down, and then freaking Luan comes off the bench and says something stupid, and you could just kind of tell like it brings everyone's
fun again.
Yeah, brings everyone's kind of their mood up and gets them a little bit more happy and excited when things maybe aren't going quite to plan. Which I mean. Didn't happen a ton, but like when it did, you can tell like something there is going on. But the other thing I want to hit on for just the good side of things is it was so much fun going to games this year.
Yeah,
so much fun going to games this year. The atmospheres were awesome. I don't know it. I never really got to go to a ton of Eastern games growing up between when I was really little and like the last 2 or 3 years, but the atmospheres are just so much fun. And like I said, I'm an Idaho student. I go to Idaho games all the time. The atmosphere is just such a different ball game. Just so much fun at Eastern Washington compared to like, I mean, obviously Idaho they just haven't been very good, but even like games where there's fun atmospheres, it's just a level below. And I don't know exactly what it was, if it was just the fan base being awesome or what, but the student section was awesome this year. I mean, maybe it wasn't completely filled out every game, but like,
the student section was bigger.
It was bigger this year for sure. It was more rowdy this year for sure.
Yeah.
They got to chirping with some fans. It was pretty funny. They ended up having to put like a backdrop up on TV because the student section is right behind where the camera shot on the broadcasters is, and students are being a little too rowdy, which is a good thing in my opinion.
Me too.
And man, it was really fun to just watch the students be insane and being a part of that atmosphere is way, way fun. I mean, the number may not be as big as what Montana gets, but I don't care. I think Eastern had the best atmosphere in total. I think the 2 teams that had the most like fun atmospheres this year had to be Eastern Washington, and you're not going to expect this, but freaking Idaho State had some badass crowds this year. And they don't have like a big gym or anything, but their student section's just nuts for how they have their student section right under the basket.
Yeah.
They go nuts there, but at least from videos, obviously I haven't been there, but
no, it was impressive to hear. I mean, again, I didn't go to any game because I'm down in Houston, but I mean, you could tell it was louder. It was louder than normal. The last few years, I think ever since that March Madness when we were going toe to toe with Kansas for a while, I mean, everything's just stepped up, and I hope this continues because we even see it in the football realm, right? When everything's successful, the crowd is electric. When you start to fall apart, and it doesn't get as it doesn't do the same thing. So hopefully we can just continue to maintain it and continue to build on this, because this is what's going to create fans for life too. Like when they're going to games every single day, they're having a good time. It's fun. Like when I went to school, the basketball team, the games weren't that impressive, right? There
Mhm.
was maybe 15, 20 people in the student section max, right? I went to a few games and it was right after the Stuckey era, but when we weren't the hottest. So, I mean,
Mhm.
I would go to the big games like Montana because at least those would be fun. But every game looked fun this year. Once we got out of
Mhm.
conference and started going on a little bit of streak, I mean, you could just see the tick of interest. I mean, even one of those women's games when we had the elementary day, I
Oh
think there was
yeah,
like 4,000 fans. It was loud. I mean, that
elementary
was
day
that
was
was awesome
nuts.
to see. That was cool.
Man, elementary day, it just looked insane. That was
Yeah, it looks like a good
so
time. They need
loud.
to do that every game, every
That
Thursday. Every
every
Thursday. Leave
Thursday.
the rowdy ones for Saturday. Have elementary on Thursdays.
The elementary students. We don't need another milk dud incident. Shout out Missoula, but uh, man. So I think we're gonna roll this into. Do you have like a high point of the season, a favorite moment from the season for you that kind of sticks out from the rest of them? Of like when I think of the 23-24 season, that's the moment I think of.
Um,
I definitely have one. I can share for mine first while you're thinking of
yeah,
yours.
share yours because I have mine from last year and it was beating Washington State.
For
But
sure.
this year, I don't know. Yeah, share yours.
Man, mine is unequivocally beating Montana to seal the ring and to watch them cut the nets down and students on the floor and freaking cowards insane dunk and transition and everything about that game was so much fun. There was so many people there that me and I was sitting with my dad and then like a group of the offensive linemen, the football team. We got like moved like three times by people because the stands were so full on our
Oh
side.
wow.
Like we were sitting up like above the student section, kind of on the edge, like by the baseline, where typically no one sits up there, no one has season tickets up there. Like normally that's kind of where most of like I don't know, like the athletes like to sit up there and whatever. We had to move twice. We moved down in the section, then we moved over, and then we had to move down into the actual student section because we got moved so many times by people. One of those was by Montana fans, which is annoying,
Yeah.
but whatever. I don't care. And the crowds have been so much fun this year, and I like maybe it was what 2,100 fans was about, 2,000 fans was about the average, is what it felt like.
Yeah.
But that's a loud 2,000 fans. I
Yeah,
don't
for
I don't
sure.
care for that
And
for that
the
venue. That's a
concrete,
good crowd.
the concrete, it just projects. I mean, it bounces off those concrete walls and it comes down. No, I got a favorite, and it's more of a petty favorite moment because I do like to talk some trash on Twitter from time to time. So this is before the first Portland State game, right, where no one was given Eastern love, and the mid major page or the low mid major page, no one was given Eastern love, and I went, you guys are stupid, because again we've played the fourth toughest schedule. No one would have a good record in this level of play, and I went. Right now, we just match up really good with Portland, who had 10 wins right already off the bat, and we were three, and two of them were non-countered, non-D1 wins. So just looking at it, I was like, Portland State just doesn't match up well with us. I think we're going to win. Um, so beating them by what was it, 40 points, and just
Uh,
showing that
yeah.
they didn't play anyone, we played everyone, and there is a difference. So yeah, that's my petty moment. So I just had to brag on Twitter for a while, going, "You guys know nothing. Start watching games."
We're just gonna
There you go. Yeah, it was close.
that
34
was
points. We'll go.
that was a really close one for about 10 minutes, and then it was not close anymore. That was a really fun game. That was who was it that like just went off this game? I guess it was Coward that went off this game, but um, Eric
Everyone.
Strepp hit a ton of threes in that game. It was so I think it was
Yeah.
that game and the North Dakota State game. Eric Strepp was just lights out from three,
Oh
and it
yeah.
was just like he's taking these shots that he definitely should not be taking, and
Yeah.
just drilling them all, and it was great. That was a really fun game.
It's fantastic.
And I mean, typically after you do a
So
high moment, you do a low moment, and
yeah.
then I think we know what the
Yeah,
low moment.
no, it was the one at Genie. So yep, this was it.
Yeah, but this one also like the attendance wasn't nuts, but it felt loud. It
Yeah.
felt really loud for that amount of attendance. The student section was pretty full that day.
Oh yeah, student
And I
section
don't
was
think
cracking this year.
and the students, excuse me, I don't even think there was students on campus at this point
Nope,
in the year.
Christmas
This was
week.
Christmas break, which was really, really funny. Excuse me. But I mean, I don't have a ton more to add on the men's season. I mean, we could get like bogged down with the numbers and stuff, which I normally do, but I mean, we're like a week and a half later. No one really cares about the numbers anymore. It's more just how are we going to remember this season as fans, I think is kind of where we're at right now. And this is going to be a fun year. I mean, it was awesome year to be a fan of Eastern Washington. Awesome year to go to a game in Eastern Washington. Awesome game, awesome year in the Big Sky Conference. A lot of
Yeah,
fun. In Boise, not so much.
not
And
so much.
hopefully we get there.
Yeah.
Looking forward a little bit. No one as of yet on the men's team has entered the portal. As of now, David Riley is still our head coach. There's rumors, of course. He's been rumored to go to Wazoo. It's been rumored.
Hmm.
I don't know what was it, Pacific and
Right.
Pepperdine. Like, there's a bunch of jobs that he's been rumored for, but as of right now, he's still Eastern Washington's coach, and that is what is it? March 30th, 2024, because I think this is going to release Monday. And if something happens between now and then, that would be embarrassing. But, of course, now I say that.
Yeah. Way to go. Yeah. Knock on wood. Jinx it.
Okay. But, you know, it was just a fun year. I
Yeah.
think that's most of what we got. It was a fun year, disappointing end. Okay, move on. I mean, do you put too much weight into the two back-to-back losses? Like, there's obviously something there, but
No,
I think
because
both those games were just off. Like,
yeah, it's just off. I mean, people are saying he can't win in Boise. I mean, his first year with an 11-11 team, right? Or something around there. 11-9, I think, on conference record. Yeah, you got to win. So it is what it is. I think there's just too much pressure when you're having a season like this, unfortunately. And this is the beauty of March Madness when you get some of like these underdogs that end up upsetting these programs that just should not be upset ever because the lower seed has no pressure. It's the top guy who is all the pressure in the world, and unfortunately, sometimes you don't live up to it. That's just what's happened the last few years. I mean, because again, we've clinched the season early. By far, the best teams each year, the last 2 years, and unfortunately, yeah, we just have not done well with the pressure.
which I mean, it sucks. It
Yeah,
really does. But I mean, what are you supposed to change? I don't know what you're gonna change. I'm perfectly fine with winning 20 games a year. That's for sure.
yeah,
Uh, you want that to translate to March, which you would think eventually it will. Eventually, someone's gonna get hot in March rather than having tough performances. I went and looked. Riley's first year, Eastern won their first round game versus Northern Arizona,
hmm
78-75, and then lost to 3 seed Northern Arizona by a point in the second round.
yeah,
So I mean, they're competing, man, and that's a lower expectation team for sure.
yeah,
They very well could have beaten Northern Colorado there. You think of last year, you lose on a buzzer beater. This year, we just look like shit. Like we look like
yeah,
shit, and they played well. And again,
yeah.
Sac State played the two like nuttiest offensive games all year
Versus us.
versus us. Like we got everyone's best shot all year, and it was
Yeah,
nuts. I was like sitting here like this Idaho State team has not done this all year, and all of a sudden they're putting up 89 points like they did that one night, and then like Sac State did it.
and they were contested
Idaho did
shots,
it.
which is wild. They were deep threes. They were
Yeah.
contested. It's not like everyone was just open the whole time. I was like, holy shit, these are fun.
I think the
Ah,
only coach that I watched the game back and I was like, okay, like we got a little bit out coached. Was the Montana State games.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
the only
We were
games where I was
frustrated
like,
in both of them.
oh yeah. And both of those games, didn't we have like multiple technicals in both those
On
games?
the
Like,
coaches.
yeah, which is kind of funny. Then I believe they're on the same staffs at one point at Whitworth.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
not. I don't know. But it's always funny that now we have three former guys that like work together. When you have Riley in I guess not Riley tree, but like guys that work with Riley. You got Coach Pribble at Idaho. You got Logie at Montana State. Those are both guys that seem like they're going to be around for a while. So I kind of hope Dave Riley stays and be kind of a fun little, Montana State, and Idaho are all going to become kind of your rivals, I guess, in the Big Sky even a little bit more, which makes things fun for sure.
Absolutely.
Especially if Idaho gets a little bit better, because I mean they always play Eastern tough, but
Yeah.
like they just haven't had any talent the last like 4 years, and well, they've had talent, but they just haven't had any.
Good talent.
They haven't been good at all, and then this year, like they just didn't have any talent, even though when they had a better coach, and so that's Idaho athletic department. Don't even get me started on them, but you know, I think we'll transition. We'll talk about the women's team just a little bit
Yeah.
because I mean, I was pretty plugged in with the women's team, but I mean, I know for you, like you don't have the time to watch every single women's basketball game,
Right.
and I mean,
I watched a good amount, which surprised me. This was by far the season I've watched the most women's basketball in my whole life. Now, it was
and
mainly on my phone when I was traveling and doing stuff like that. But yeah, I actually got to watch quite a bit. It was a fantastic season.
it was a lot of fun. This team was so good. Like they were beatable for sure, but they were tough to beat in the Big Sky when they were at full strength.
Yeah.
And they ended up 29-6 overall. Big Sky champions in the regular season. They seal out with a nice buzzer beater. Jamie Lowetta buzzer beater. Jamie Lowetta wins MVP. She won Defensive Player of the Year as well. She was an all first team Big Sky player. I don't have the Big Sky teams ready and pulled up right now, but this team was awesome. They were tough to beat from anyone. 16-2 in conference. Both losses came without Jacinta Buckley on the floor, who she was just kind of an underrated player for the team this year. Like she really did a lot for the team when it came to rebounding, when it came to playing defense, and even a little bit offensively as well. Even though she didn't start every game, but man, this year was awesome for the women's team. I've never like really dialed into Eastern women's basketball just because they haven't been good at all for a
Yeah.
while. And then this year you watch them and it's like, whoa, these girls are good.
Yeah.
They lights out defense, best defensive team in the conference by a mile. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country most of the year. And I mean, when it came to the NCAA tournament, they kind of got outshot and outsized, which is pretty typical for a Big Sky
Yeah.
team.
Oregon
But
State is phenomenal.
they're phenomenal and they're huge.
Yeah.
But man, it was such a fun year for the Eagle
Historic
women.
year.
Historic, best season ever.
Yeah.
When you look at this, they should have probably beaten Gonzaga, who was tournament
ranked.
team.
Yep.
I think they're quad one. They're
Yeah.
they're one of the better teams
top
in the
20
country.
all year, and I think they're a 4 seed or something like that.
Something like that in the NCAA tournament, and I don't know if they're done now or what. I haven't been paying attention.
I think they're still in. Well, no, they played Texas yesterday.
Oh, gotcha. I don't. I don't watch college basketball that much. I just like Eastern sports.
Yeah.
So like they're Big Sky sports, I guess I should
Oh,
say.
they beat Utah. Let's see. Oh no, that was. Yeah, they lost to Texas in the Sweet 16. So pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good team. Probably should have beat them. I think they just kind of got out rebounded in this game. But then kind of like scrolled down. They competed with a good Cal team. The Pac-12 is one of the best teams in the women's basketball this year.
Oh yeah.
Beat Boise State, Mountain West team, blew the doors off Wyoming and Presbyterian. They were a really good team this year. In the Big Sky, they had their two little blips versus it was Northern Arizona, who was a really good team, just lights out shooting. Had a ridiculous comeback in this game to force overtime.
Yeah.
Shout out Jaleesa Lawrence for hitting some freaking game-tying free throws with like 0.01 on the clock or whatever nuts it was. This Montana State game was brutal to lose, but I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't like complaining about the refs, but they did get a pretty favorable call to give them the lead late. Anyways, and then they played really good basketball all year, and it's like ugly games, but it's so fun because the other team starts getting frustrated because they can't freaking pass the ball, and I don't know. I like defensive basketball, but
yeah,
we do have some kind of sad news with the Eagle women team. Aaliyah Alexander, who was a first-team All-League player, she led the team in scoring. She has entered the transfer portal, and she's probably going to get a big-time offer somewhere. Not totally sure where, but probably somewhere big. What used to be Pac-12 teams, I'm assuming, are going to come looking for her. Don't know what's going on with with Jamie Luetta yet. But other than that, there's been one other player. I wrote it down. There's one other player that didn't really play. Angie Zylak entered the transfer portal. She was like a bench player that didn't really see the court, I don't think, at all this year. But other than that, they lose a couple starters. They lose 4 starters, I believe, which is a lot. But I mean, I think you bring back a pretty good amount as well. If Jaleesa Lawrence will be back, and I guess she's the one starter. And then you bring back, Bela Hayes, tall player in the post, whatever. But we'll talk about next year when next year comes. But you
Yeah.
know, we're this season was really fun. I got to watch them in person. I think 3 or 4 times. 3 times this year. And I mean, shoot, they were just a step ahead of everyone. Jamie Loetta's she's gonna go down as one of the best players in Eastern women's basketball history, if not the best as of now. Defense player of the year last year. Then she won defense player of the year and MVP this year, like we kind of hit on. Big Sky tournament MVP. She had something nuts like how many points does she have in this tournament game? 21 points in the tournament game. Against a really good Oregon team. So Oregon State. I shouldn't mess that up. People get mad at me, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have as in-depth of analysis for the women's season just because down the stretch, dude, I was running out of time to watch every single minute, every single game. But a lot of fun. I think my highlight of the year was beating NAU in the tournament championship because that was just a badass win for the women and freaking Jacinta Buckley had like 21 points. She misses like all year, comes back in the tournament right before the tournament, hits a buzzer beater to beat Montana or close to a buzzer beater, and then just goes off in the tournament. Probably was very neck and neck with Jamie Luetta to be tournament MVP, which would be pretty cool story for her. Spokane native, so cool story there. But that's kind of all I got on the women's team. Do you have anything else to add there?
No, I'll just say my favorite moment, unfortunately, was a loss. And it was against Gonzaga, just because that was like the game where we got to see where Eastern truly was. Because we were supposed to get blown out in that game. I mean, Gonzaga's women program is phenomenal. Not quite up to the standard as the guys, but of course that money's flowing in. They are a phenomenal women's program. So when you lose by 2 against literally a ranked team, then it was like, yeah, the Big Sky's got nothing on us. I'm not that worried. And then NAU was a phenomenal team too. They could shoot the hell out of the ball. But yeah, once we lost by 2 and we should have won, I was like, oh man, this women's team they're gonna make some splash. I didn't think they were gonna have this historic year and only lose 2 conference games because it's hard to win in conference. But still, yeah, what the women's team has basically what they were 5 years ago to what they are now, pretty damn impressive. So you got to give Coach Jody quite a bit of props. It's been it's been really impressive, and we'll see if she sticks around too. Right?
We'll see.
This is a reality of just being an Eastern Washington sports fan. Once you get success, it's going to be pretty hard to maintain these coaches and keep them. But I mean, props to everything about this women's team. This is a fun year to watch. And it is the most women's sports I've ever watched. And I watched probably a good 90% of their, actual conference games on my phone when I was traveling. So yeah, I had it at the sports bars quite a bit before I was boarding my flight. And it was a good time.
Yeah, they were so much fun to watch. Also, cool note, they were leading Oregon State 18-15 after 1 quarter.
Yeah.
In the tournament. That's pretty cool. I mean, obviously the second quarter they got massively outscored, but
there should have been a higher seed.
Yeah, they probably should have been. I mean, they probably should have been a higher seed, but Oregon State's a really good team.
Oh yeah, no, I just would have rather had a higher seed and played someone a little not as good.
Yeah, and I mean, shoot, man. The thing with Oregon State is they were just lights out.
Yeah.
If a team wasn't shooting the ball like insanely lights out like Oregon State was, it would be tough for another team to really like score like that on Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, inside they weren't the strongest team ever, but 17 for 18 from 3 for Oregon State, or 7 for 18. 17 for 18, that's not right.
Yeah.
7 for 18, that's 21 points. Eastern lost by 22 points. So, there you go. But I think that's all we got on basketball for the most part. Do you have any like kind of wrapping this sort of thing up comments on just 2023-2024 basketball
I
season? It
got
was a
nothing.
blast.
I'm excited for next year, and either we're gonna have a full rebuild depending on what happens, or we're gonna have a very stacked team that returned everyone. I mean, it is
Yeah.
pretty exciting not seeing any of our names hit the portal, but also
Yeah.
makes me nervous if they're just waiting for a coach's decision or not.
Yeah.
But I
Which is
mean,
very
as of
possible.
right now, I'm loving what I'm seeing. I think coach doesn't leave this year, and I think we bring back pretty much everyone. So get ready, Big Sky.
Yep, and that's what we're hoping for, and that's what I'm hoping for. That's for sure.
Knock on wood.
No, yeah, that's anyways. But man, I mean, it was a blast. It was a blast to cover because I just kind of it was the debut season of Patrick, I guess, which was kind of a blast. Like grinding it out this season, I freaking posted a lot, even though it wasn't that great. Put a lot of time into this, so it was fun, even though I'm not a basketball expert. Which means y'all better stay tuned because I'm a football guy, and football season's gonna be fun. So we got spring football
Let's
coming up
go.
next week. I'm headed up to Chena to go watch first day in pads. That'll be really fun. I'll try to get some good video for people. I've been posting video, posting tweets all the time. Check out the Eagles Power on Instagram because there's a ton of stuff. We got footage from Blake Goebel and Demarcus Johnson's pro day at Idaho. There's a couple clips from practice. So I'll try to get some more clips up from spring practice just because usually there's not a ton of content coming from spring overall. Like there's obviously like the cool like montage videos, but I'm gonna try to hit more on the actual football things and like personnel things and in stuff like that. We'll probably have an episode talking some spring football next week, later in the week. Um, but I'm trying to think of anything else that there is to cover. For the most part, that's kind of it. This football season is gonna be really fun, guys. Even if we freaking suck, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I don't care. It'll be fun. I don't think we're gonna suck at all. I think we're gonna be pretty good, but I think it's 100% gonna be a step up from last year, schedule wise, roster wise, coaching staff wise. But I think that's all we got. Kyler, do you have
Sweet.
any wrap it up final thoughts before we close out here?
Nah, just you're crushing it on here. I enjoy everything you're doing, so keep it up. I really do appreciate you taking over. So you're doing a solid job, man.
Yeah, what's gonna be fun is the short form content is gonna be coming ramping up here soon with football coming up and stuff. I'm gonna try to dive into a little bit of scheme stuff, which
Cool.
that's stuff that I put a lot of time into, which is fun. So definitely go check it out. A lot of that's gonna be on Instagram and Twitter. So I'll probably post it on in a couple Facebook groups as well. Maybe we'll get the old EPH Facebook group fired up if we can remember some passwords.
Yeah.
But
Good luck.
yeah, that's gonna be tough. But well, I think that's all we got. Thank you guys everyone for listening and go Eagles.